Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Happy Concert 2891 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit and says, am I the arsehole for kicking my mother-in-law out of my house because she won't stop complaining about my daughter's name? Both me, 28 female, and my husband, 30 male, are from Latin America. We moved to the UK shortly after we had our eldest, 5 male. Our daughter, who turns 1 in April, was born here. My mother-in-law's 60s, my husband's older brother, 37 male, neither of whom have met our daughter before, are flying over for her birthday. Brother-in-law wanted to get a hotel room for himself, and mother-in-law doesn't speak any English. So we decided to have her stay at our place instead of leaving her alone in a foreign country. Years ago, when I was pregnant with my son, my husband and I made the mistake of revealing his name to our families. My mother-in-law spent the next months complaining about it. She'd send us lists of name suggestions, look up bad historical figures with the same name as the one we'd chosen, and just generally say it was awful. She didn't stop until our son was born and the name was on his birth certificate. So for my second pregnancy, we decided to keep our daughter's name a secret until after her birth. We figured that not knowing her name until it was unchangeable would stop mother-in-law from complaining. We were wrong. Our daughter's name is Cecilia. Minutes after she was born, my mother-in-law called my husband and asked, "You know Cecilia means blind, right?" Almost a year later, she hadn't stopped complaining. If it's not because of the meaning, it's because it's ugly, long, or an old lady name. There have been occasions in which my husband sent pictures of her to his family's group chat and his mum replied with stuff like, "How cute, too bad her name is Cecilia." It genuinely feels like my daughter is being bullied. Whenever we talk to my mother-in-law, which has been happening less and less lately for this exact reason, she has a new complaint. Up until now, the main reason I was able to kind of tune it out was because she hadn't complained to us in person or in front of our children. But she'll be here in less than 2 weeks, and I'm absolutely certain she'll continue her crusade about our home. I don't want to hear it. I don't want my son to hear it, and I don't want my baby's first birthday to be ruined by grandma's bitching. So a couple of months ago, my husband and I called his mum. We told her she could no longer stay with us and to ask brother-in-law to help her get a hotel room. We also told her the reasons behind our decision. Mother-in-law cried on the phone and called us several times since. She always either apologizes, calls us dramatic, or accuses us of alienating her from her grandkids. Throughout all of this, she continues to insist she has the right to dislike our daughter's name and still hasn't booked a hotel room. My brother-in-law agrees she's being a dick, but is upset we told her she can no longer stay at our place. He's accusing us of forcing an elderly woman to stay alone in a foreign country, even though we're perfectly capable of housing her. He's also mad that after promising for months that mother-in-law could stay at our house, we're retracting our offer. This whole situation has been exhausting. I'm starting to worry I might be overreacting. Am I the arsehole? Absolutely not the arsehole at all. These are just consequences of her own actions. She's caused this, and now she's just facing those consequences. I think it's one thing, we've seen stories where children have been given like unique names which could cause the child to face potential harm or bullying in the future, and then people raising concerns about it. But a name like Cecilia, which I think is a pretty name actually, and I'm not going to say it's a common name because I don't know if it is or not, but I've heard it many times over my lifetime, and one that I personally can't see any issue with at all. And it all just feels, rather than, disliking a name, it just feels like it's control from mother-in-law. You also say that she did this with your son as well. I don't think it would have mattered what the name would have been. If it's not a name that mother-in-law is choosing, she was going to complain about it. A user says to OP, first off, not the arsehole. How hard is it to just not complain about a name? Seriously. She made her choice when she insisted she has the right to not like your daughter's name. She could have easily said, I didn't like the name, but won't mention it again because it clearly upsets you. Boom, done. She made the choice to be a pain. Again, not the arsehole. Just jumping in here, I've had this tune in my head ever since I heard the name of this song, like in between the comments and stuff. All that's going through my head is, Cecilia, you're breaking my heart. I won't keep singing at you, but I just had to get that out. Massive Response says she's straight up bullying your kid because of their name. It's best if they find somewhere else to stay until she cleans up her act. Flow Mojo Blow says, in quotes, she has the right to dislike a name, and then says, you have the right to not allow any further visits. Problem solved. Edit. I wasn't questioning her right to dislike a name in itself. I was questioning her entitled attitude in voicing it when she was asked not to. Disastrous Baby says, not the arsehole. All she will do is complain, not just about her niece's name, but everything regarding you and your motherhood. She seems like one of those mother-in-laws. I'm also pretty sure when her niece grows up, she will also dislike her because of these actions. She has the right not to like the name, but she could keep that opinion to herself. After all, she is the one who chose her children's name, so you and your husband have the right to pick whatever name you like. It's been a year now, and she should just get over this. I just think this is an excuse to complain, like most mother-in-laws find one. The name is not the problem. She's just mad you didn't give her a chance to name her granddaughter, which obviously you are not required to. To me, that is pure bullying. She is her granddaughter, and whatever name you chose for her, she is supposed to like. Also, Cecilia is such a cute name. Opie says, besides this problem, we have an okay relationship with her. Could be better, but it's way less awful than many of my friends' mother-in-laws. That said, she's always had the tendency of complaining. Even before we had kids, we knew she'd complain about whatever names we picked. We just didn't know how bad it would be. And one more comment from Tall Outside, who says, not the arsehole. Mother-in-law needs her own place to stay because inevitably she's going to be kicked out of your house. Does she have the right to dislike your daughter's name? Yes. You have the right to kick her out for whatever reason you want? Yes. Don't give in. Right now it's just bitching about names. Later it's bitching about your parenting, the kids' lifestyle choices, etc, etc, etc. She needs to know that her negative criticisms aren't welcome around you and your family at all. Edit addition. You know, my mother-in-law is not a bad person. She did a lot for and with my kids when they were little, but she's also very judgmental. She has trouble keeping her mouth shut when she disapproves. My kids are now adults and they resent my mother-in-law to this day for little comments made while they were growing up. They don't share things with her because they feared being judged. They don't talk to her as much as they talk to my parents because they don't want her negativity. Your mother-in-law would do well to change how she behaves because your kids won't enjoy having a cranky grandmother, and given the geographic distance between them, your kids will make zero effort to keep in touch. But Opie comes in to update the post and says, hey everyone, it's been a while since I posted, so I want to give you an update. I'll try to be brief. For the next couple of weeks after my first post, mother-in-law continued her attempts to convince us to let her stay with us, but still refused to book a hotel room. My husband and I decided to speak with brother-in-law again. He told us that the main reason why he wanted to get a hotel room for himself was to explore the city on his own, but could understand why we didn't want mother-in-law to stay with us anymore. Eventually, he agreed to help her get a different room at the hotel he'd stay in. From what I gather, he also spent the weeks leading up to the visit telling his mother that if she tried complaining about Cecilia's name at any point, we'd call a taxi to send her back to the hotel. Cecilia's birthday went off without a hitch, except for the fact that mother-in-law immediately tried to give her a nickname. For a few hours, she kept calling her Lila or Leela. She was doing so behind our backs, and my husband and I didn't realize until our son came to ask us if Grandma knew Cece's name. My brother-in-law offered to call a taxi, but we decided to brush it off. Later, my husband pulled mother-in-law aside and said that if she ever tried to complain about either of our children again, she wouldn't get to visit us anymore. She behaved herself until she and brother-in-law flew back home, and we haven't heard any complaints from her since. I'm very satisfied with this outcome. Though I'm still worried she'll complain about my kids again in the future, I now know that we have my husband's brother by our side, which will greatly help us navigate our relationship with our mother. Also, kudos to those who brought up Simon and Garfunkel's Cecilia. Though I love that one, our girl was actually named after a song by a Brazilian singer, Chico Buarque. I couldn't find a video with English subtitles, but I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you for reassuring me I wasn't overreacting. I wish you all well. Hope he has one final comment that says, I'm pretty confident things will get better after all this. Their visit went perfectly fine, besides the whole Leela thing. And I think she got the message that she won't get any more chances if she tries to complain again. I personally found that a great update, that boundaries were put in place for this. Everyone that needs to be is on your side. There's no family turning against you, it's just mother-in-law. And like we just said, she's got the boundaries now, so if she oversteps, that's her choice. Simple as that, the way I like to see it. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Any Entrepreneur 779 and says, husband has a groupie. My husband is in several bands. In addition to working a regular full-time job, his primary band has a loyal local fan base. Around New Year's, he was pretty enthusiastic about me meeting his two new female friends, who always come together and had been coming to all of their shows. I think 2 shows nearly every weekend. I hardly ever go to his shows for a variety of reasons, but mostly because someone has to stay home and watch our kids. And some of these gigs are pretty far away. I went, we met, they were fine. I'm not sure if I've been to many other shows since New Year's Eve, but they have, because I keep hearing about his smoking buddies. Fast forward to April. I go to a show with a couple of my friends because it's 15 minutes from home. Text my husband that I was there, no response. Saw him rush by where I was sitting to get in a smoke break. There is only one smoking buddy, the other one is inside. This is the shift where it seems to be only one smoking buddy, SB. Smoking buddy is waiting for him in the parking lot. I walk behind to catch up, no big deal. After the show, my friend asks what's up with smoking buddy. Her behavior raised flags for my friend. Most notably, smoking buddy was dancing right in front of my husband all night, close as one can be without being on stage, and made sure to follow him out at every set break. I think something, but not much of it. I tell my husband smoking buddy's behavior seemed off, but we don't really discuss it further. I wasn't planning to, but I go to another show in June near home with a different friend. Something about my husband's sudden urgent need for a haircut and beard trim that day, and extra attention to what he's going to wear, is odd. If I ask him to clean up all the hair, I get scoffing. Friend asks me who smoking buddy is because after greeting my husband with a hug, she turns and gets a huge stink face from smoking buddy. The dancing right in front of my husband continues. She follows him out to the parking lot every set break. She is now the only female smoking buddy, as I have not seen the other girl come out for smoke breaks at any time other than New Year's Eve. This time she makes snarky asides after I speak. She hangs out after the show in the parking lot. Every time she is left with her other friend. I am now officially uncomfortable with this girl. She's been on my husband's ass and in his face all night and has been rude to my friend and to me. I've since asked my husband if there is any particular reason smoking buddy might feel entitled to behave this way towards my friends. He insists she is just his smoking buddy, is happily married, and they only talk about their respective kids. She wears no wedding ring, so although she may be married, you would not know from outward observation. I've asked him to tell her to fuck off or I'll do it. I understand the pushback. That's harsh, and one may not wish to alienate a fan base. She has friends and family in the loyal crowd. I asked that he make it more clear to her that he is married and to stop sharing vapes and joints with her. We've run into her twice since, and this last time, he left me to go smoke with her and told me I should make friends with her so I can dance out front too. At this point, I can't even. Not sure what I'm hoping to get out of posting this to all you internet strangers, but thanks for reading. I'm going to examine my life choices, I guess. Now, for me, this does feel inappropriate, and you've expressed your discomfort about this as well, and it doesn't seem to be taken seriously. Part of me thinks he's just enjoying the attention he's getting at the moment. I'm not going to say affair because, I don't know. But I definitely feel like the attention is being enjoyed here, which, I wouldn't be happy with. and simply needs to put boundaries in place to stop this kind of shit. But Zan says, my husband is also a musician and has had groupies. The instant I tell him I've noticed predatory behavior from one of them, he distances himself. Because he's committed to me. You are not overreacting. He's condoning her behavior. Olgal says your husband will not put up with a man acting this way towards him. You need to ask your husband if your marriage and your feelings are important to him, or his image to this one groupie is more important. His response will tell you what you need to know. If he gets defensive and tries to accuse her behavior, point it out. I hope he understands how serious this behavior is because it sounds like an emotional affair. Hopefully it isn't physical. Groundbreaking Mud says, honestly, I feel like your husband's behavior is suspicious. Like, come on, it's weird enough that your husband is pretty much telling you half-truths about her and seems to be enjoying the attention in my humble opinion. But the fact that she's rude towards you or your friend is given the energy of a jealous mistress who's being territorial. I wouldn't trust neither of them to. One more comment which says, your husband needs to stand up and put some boundaries up between him and this woman. Now. He definitely shouldn't still be hanging out with her / smoking with her one-on-one after you told him she makes you feel uncomfortable. Sounds like he's enjoying her attention though at the very least. Him not putting up firm boundaries with her is making her feel entitled to act the way she does. Neither of their behavior is okay for married people at all. I'd surprise him at his show, and the second she started acting like that, I'd tell her to back off. Bring a friend as well so you have backup in case either tries to gaslight you that the behavior is fine. But also try to find her husband. Either A, he doesn't exist, or B, he doesn't know she's practically throwing herself at a married man. If that's the case, he needs to know. What does his bandmates think of her? And also, why do you need to make friends with her in order to dance up front too? Does she control who dances in front of him? Oh, I bet she does. The OP came in to update that post and says, after the last gig, my husband suggested that I befriend Smoking Buddy so I could dance out front with her at his shows. There was one more gig and then a bit of hiatus where my husband played a ridiculous number of shows with his other bands. I asked about this one more gig to see if it was public or private. It was at a campground and got no response. I didn't bother trying to go. The next day I asked who was there. My husband indicated that it was all campers plus a bunch of the regulars and included Smoking Buddy in his list. He further indicated that not only did he smoke with her during breaks, but he met her father. I'm not really sure where it came into the conversation or why he felt it somehow made it better, but he didn't drink the alcohol she offered. He settled for some shitty Michelob? I don't know what that is. Cue a 3-hour argument. Some of the highlights from that super fun conversation were claiming that Smoking Buddy 2 had been present every time, including at the last show I attended. This is false. I smoked with her at the last show I attended while you were there, so you could see there's nothing going on. I liked her as a friend. You're trying to control who I can be friends with. You're making a big deal because I'm not cheating on you enough. Eh? What? Is he admitting to cheating on a bit? What the hell? I've requested that he stop spending any time with her at all. Stop sharing vapes and unfriend her on Facebook. He claimed that he shouldn't have to unfriend her on Facebook because they've never messaged each other and she liked our anniversary pictures. Ultimately, he did say he would do what I asked because she's just some girl who comes to the shows, and he did unfriend her on Facebook, which could have some potential real-world effects. I don't know yet. His band has one show since and she did not attend. What I do know is that I am unimpressed with the way this conversation went down and I'm proceeding with cautious skepticism. He did make some comments a few days later about smoking being a social thing. I told him that if this was some kind of lead up to not do what I asked, it was unacceptable. Otherwise, I have not brought it up again and things are mostly fine. OP, when asked if he's cheated before, OP says yes. When we were dating in college, he cheated more than once with the same girl over the course of more than 1 year. We broke up for several years and got back together. I like to believe that people can change. Generally speaking, he's had a lot of freedom and a lot of trust from me over the course of our marriage. I've not felt the need to go to his shows or police his friendships. This particular woman and this particular situation have made me very uncomfortable. Piece of that fancy feast reply saying, I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I'm a huge advocate for leading with trust and security whenever possible. I think there's a spiral that can happen here when you try to control that can have some negative outcomes, but at the same time, her behavior does seem a little sus. Have you thought about what would happen if he started touring with a really popular band and groupies like this were the norm? He's flooded with DMs, etc. I'm just not sure if this kind of response is sustainable if you want to truly support his career, and he probably feels the same way. Opie says, I get where you're going with this, but I feel like that would be different somehow. Not the same groupie every time over many months, one-on-one multiple times per show as this woman is. There's a comfort level being established that makes it all too easy to cross a line into continuing the hangout post-show, etc. Other people were picking up on that I'm not cheating on you enough and saying there probably should have been a comma after the you. They're like, I'm not cheating on you enough. And this just feels like it feels like one of those stories that's going to end in disaster because his attitude towards it, it just seems like totally disrespectful of her views, especially this guy's past history as well, which was revealed. I don't know, what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care.